Hey everyone, Coach and Hoka One One Athlete Sage Canaday here with another Training Talk Tuesdays. Yes, getting it out pretty late here in the US, but thanks for all your question submissions from last week. We're going with the top voted question, and be sure to comment below after this video and thumbs up vote for next week's topic. But got a great question. Training Talk question number 2, part 1. Do you know of a certain workout or best workout you recommend for us to find out, test our true maximum heart rate, or what that type of workout is, excluding going to a lab? How fresh do we need to be in terms of mileage and energy wise before performing this test or workout? So the question of achieving max heart rate, how many beats per minute your heart goes at 100%, and there's a lot of genetic variation there. Don't rely on the formula 220 minus your age. A lot of people don't fit that. It changes over time as well. So the first thing I want to say about max heart rate is that a lot of people don't know it, and it is kind of hard to get. You need a very good effort, and that's the purpose of this talk. But how you monitor your heart rate is also important in that. So don't go by wrist-based, strap-based on your wrist, the optical heart rate readings. A lot of error there, a lot of error. Some people it's accurate. For me, it's not. But a lot of fluctuations just with the wrist. The chest strap is always the way to go. Even with chest strap heart rate monitors, there could be a lot of error. There needs to be a good tightness. There needs to be usually a little moisture. It's got to dial into the electric signals of your heart. So that's important, that you get an accurate device to read your heart rate. Now, to get your heart rate up really high to 100%, you need what we call a progressive type of workout. And I'll first start off by saying, in theory, in the science in the lab, sorry, clearing my throat, I'm still sick with pneumonia. Appreciate all the well wishes on my last vlog. In theory, in the lab, a VO2 Max test is the gold standard maximum aerobic capacity, and it's very controlled. And assuming you don't have access to that, they also hook you up your nose and mouth to a tube that's hooked up to a computer. But I wore a chest strap during my VO2 Max test to get an accurate reading. But it's progressive in nature because they slowly kind of warm you up into it, and it gradually gets harder as it goes on. But you're looking for something in a continuous range of 6, 8, 10, or even 12 minutes. Now, also in theory, if you ran a very evenly paced, perfectly executed, right at your maximum type of 3K or 3,200, 2 mile, or even a 5K if you're pretty fast type of track race or road race, and you paced it very evenly and everything was controlled, and then you really accelerated into the last 2 kilometers, you should theoretically be hitting about 100% of your maximum heart rate. And same thing goes with a traditional VO2 Max type of workout. Let's say you're doing 5 times a kilometer, 5 times 1,000 meters with a minute and a half rest, not a complete rest, and you're doing it a little faster than 5K pace, really hard, brutal session, and you've done it, paced it really well, and you're able to kind of speed up in the last couple reps and go all out on the last kilometer rep, and maybe it's around 3 minutes, maybe it's under 3 minutes, maybe it's around 4 minutes. But theoretically the whole purpose of the VO2 Max workout, working between 3K and 5K race pace, is that you are approaching 100% maximum heart rate, because the whole goal of the workout is to get your heart muscle beating really hard and maximizing the oxygen flow to your muscles, but also you're developing lactic acid as well, so you could get tied up if you don't pace things right. And that's kind of the purpose of this talk, is talking about a workout besides the VO2 Max test in the lab, besides an all-out 3K or 5K race, besides even a traditional VO2 Max workout. How else can you test to try to get a really high heart rating value? And it depends on a lot of factors. Not gonna lie to you, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt because you gotta push yourself really, really hard. You gotta be in the right mental headspace. it helps to have fans or friends or family or fans or competitors pushing you and cheering you on as well. You don't want to go to a solo track. It's harder to push yourself sometimes. Even when I did my VO2 Max test in the lab, the researcher there, Shalea Kip, actually an Olympian, she was cheering me on and trying to get me motivated, and I'm in my race singlet, like all business, right? So you do have to push very hard, and you can't go into it too tired. Now, I know that's the second part of the question, but first part of the question, what type of workout? It depends on the person a little bit. Like I said, if you push really hard in a VO2 Max workout and it's well paced, that could be one way to go. However, if you really want to test it, you want to definitely warm up with an easy jog, 10, 15 minutes, do some strides. Generally, intervals are going to be the way to go, high intensity intervals. Generally, you're looking at intervals over 2 minutes, right? If you did a bunch of wind sprints really fast, like 200 meters, and you're running 30 seconds for 200, that's really fast. It's really hard. You're breathing really hard. But what could happen there is your lactate levels could spike up so fast that your muscles are tying up before your heart rate actually gets to 100%. It might feel like 100% because it hurts and it burns and your blood feels like battery acid and you're going anaerobic, but your muscles are failing, and the lactate levels and the acidosis of your blood is failing you before you're actually reaching 100% with the heart rate. And you could be hyperventilating as well. You'd be breathing very hard. You're going anaerobic, but the 2-minute rep, especially 2 minutes starting more gradually, 2 to 3 minutes, is usually the way to go. And you don't start off sprinting that first 2-minute rep either. You might want to even start out slower than 5K pace. So let's say you have a session, you're going to do 3 times 800 meters. This is after a warm-up, after some strides. 800 meters on a flat track, you run the first 800 pretty hard, right? Maybe around 5K pace. You take a limited rest, only like 2 minutes, and you want to pace it very evenly. You don't want to go out really fast the first 400 and then slow down the second 400. It's got to be very controlled and very well paced. Second 800, you go very, very hard, but not all out yet. You're still pushing, not 800 meter pace, but maybe close to your 1500 meter pace or mile pace, but basically 90-95% effort. You're feeling pretty tired after that. Take a 2-minute rest only. Not a full recovery. That heart rate's coming down, but it's not coming down all the way. Last 800, all out. That's one way to get pretty close to the max heart rate. And as you go into that second lap in an 800, pretty much all out, you're probably going to be pretty close to that. But the key is that you didn't go out too fast, that you didn't run those first reps too fast, because you'll be swimming in lactic acid, and we don't want that to happen first. Now, that's not necessarily the best workout, 3 times 800. You could do it for a kilometer repeat, especially if you're running closer to 3 minutes for a kilometer repeat. 4 minutes is a little on the longer side, so maybe the 800 would be better for you. But let's say maybe you're not great at motivating yourself on a track, right? It's the turn, you got the left turn, it's maybe not your cup of tea. Well, for a lot of people, myself included, I would recommend a slight uphill gradient. So running uphill reps, but still with the same kind of idea. You warm up, you do some strides. You don't want a super steep hill unless you're like a mountain runner and you're used to that. You want something that's 5%, 3% uphill grade, like pretty shallow. You could do this on a treadmill as well. That it might actually be better on a treadmill. And you're doing 2 or 3 minute reps and you're repeating them over and over, but you're starting at 80-85%. Then you're taking only a 2-minute rest, incomplete rest, right? So the heart rate's already getting elevated with each rep. Then you start going 90-95%. You start flirting up that heart rate. It starts to get hard. Things are gonna suck. I'm not gonna lie. But that heart rate, you get just enough rest that you're not developing too much lactic acid. Third or fourth rep, you start going 95-98%, right? And then maybe after 3-4 reps, maybe 5 reps, you just say, I'm going flat out. And you pace it like a 3-minute hard interval. You don't start off sprinting the first 30 seconds because you don't want to flood yourself with lactate still. You got to pace it progressively, but it's going to be hard from the start, and it's going to get progressively harder, and hopefully you approach 100% max heart rate, and you could theoretically hold that actually for several minutes at a time. So that would be my recommendation, is maybe doing gentle uphill repeat reps. And yeah, at least 2 minutes, maybe 3 Even 3.5 minutes are usually good. It kind of takes a while to build up that heart rate, but the idea is to do it gradually. And yeah, you don't want to be super tired when you go into this workout. It wouldn't be a good thing to do when you just did a hard long run a couple days or even a week before. Wouldn't be a good thing to do when you're pushing your peak super high weekly mileage, or it wouldn't be a good thing to do even if you've done a hard speed session or any type of high intensity work in the last 5 days or even 10 days before it. It'd be something you kind of want to taper for, much like a race. Now, when I got tested in the lab and I got the VO2 max number as well as my max heart rate number, I was surprised at how high I could get my heart rate with this kind of progressive test versus when I'm actually just doing a workout and maybe I'm not going full 100%, but I feel like it's really a hard workout. And in the VO2 max test on the treadmill, and you could try this on a treadmill if you have access, is that it started off, you might have to adjust the paces too, it started off at 10 miles an hour, 6-minute mile pace on the flat for 1 minute. So that's like 16 kilometers per hour. And then every minute it would increase 1% incline and then it would speed up. I'm not sure what it sped up to now. I have to check the VO2 max video. It sped up, I think, just 1/10 of a mile per hour. That's what it was. So, you know, less than or that's over 1 kilometer per hour. But it started speeding up, but it also went up. And so by the time I was like 8 or 10 minutes in, you're at 8% uphill grade and you're going closer to 5-minute mile pace. So that got very hard very fast. But the first 2-3 minutes, it was a gradual progression and you could see the heart rate just slowly starting to climb. And that's kind of what you want. But those last couple minutes are going to be a lot of discomfort. And again, if I had to recommend a #1 workout, it would be those hill repeat types of workouts. And you would do it, you'd probably have to do a jog back down recovery to keep it so it's not too long of a recovery between each hill blast. And again, you got to pace it very well. It might take a couple tries because it is hard to go hard in your running, but not go so hard that you go out too fast within the context of the heart rate test, but also within the context of each rep being progressively harder because you don't want to flood yourself with lactate mainly. So that's my talk on achieving max heart rate. Again, thanks so much for supporting this Training Talk Tuesday series. We're going to keep it going. Comment below with your top comments or questions for next week's topic and vote up ones that you like, and that'll be the one I choose for next week. Hope you're doing well, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.